Right now, put on your favorite pair of headphones. Select the song that hits you harder than any other. Press play and close your eyes. As the melody builds, something strange happens beneath your skin. A sudden shift in harmony occurs. A high note holds in the air. A wave of prickling cold sweeps up your arms. The hair on the back of your neck stands straight up. Your heart skips a beat. You call this feeling goosebumps. Scientists call it frisson. You probably think your body is simply reacting to beauty, but the real answer is far stranger. Your skin is not reacting to art. Your skin is reacting to a life-threatening emergency that never happened. Why would invisible vibrations traveling through the air trick your physical body into preparing for battle? To understand why a violin can make your skin shiver, you have to look at your brain as a prediction machine. Every millisecond of your waking life, your brain is trying to guess the future. It estimates where your foot will land before you step. It predicts the exact sound of a falling object before it hits the floor. It does this because in the ancient world, unexpected events meant death. A sudden crack of a branch behind you meant a predator was leaping. A sudden drop in temperature meant a killing frost was settling over the valley. Your survival depended entirely on anticipating what comes next. When you listen to music, your brain does not just passively hear sound. It actively builds an intricate model of what sound should occur half a second from now. It tracks the rhythm. It maps the scale. It predicts the exact harmonic resolution of every chord progression. Neuroscientist Dr. David Huron spent years analyzing how the human brain processes musical expectations. He discovered that music operates on a precise psychological system called expectation theory. When a song follows familiar rules, your brain rewards itself for guessing correctly. You feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. You tap your foot. Your brain feels in control. So what happens when a song breaks the rules? What happens when a composer builds up tension and then suddenly drops into an unexpected key? What happens when a soft acoustic song suddenly explodes into a massive wall of sound? Your brain experiences a sudden prediction error. For a tiny fraction of a second, your subconscious mind panics. It registers the unexpected acoustic jump as a sudden threat in your environment. Before your conscious mind can think, your amygdala fires a panic signal directly to your autonomic nervous system. Your body triggers an immediate micro spike of adrenaline. Tiny muscles attached to every single hair follicle on your body contract instantly. These tiny structures are called erectores pilorum muscles. When they pull down on your skin, the hair shaft is forced upright. The skin surrounding the hair bulges upward. This is the exact mechanism that creates goosebumps. Why did your ancestors evolve this instant muscular reaction? 2 million years ago, your ancestors were covered in thick body hair. When the temperature dropped suddenly, erect hairs trapped a layer of warm air close to the skin. It was an automatic biological coat. When a dangerous predator stepped out of the tall grass, erect hairs fluffed out the creature's silhouette. It made your ancestor look significantly bigger and more threatening to a rival or a predator. You have seen this exact mechanism in action if you have ever watched an angry cat arch its back. Your cat is not feeling inspired. Your cat is trying to look larger so it does not get eaten. So why does a beautiful vocal melody trigger the exact same reaction as a saber-toothed cat? Because your primitive survival brain cannot distinguish between a sudden musical surprise and a predator springing from the brush. The sudden shift in volume or key is processed by your brainstem as an unexpected environmental shock. Your body fluffs up its non-existent fur to prepare for a fight. Your blood pressure rises, your breathing alters. Do you see the absurd contradiction taking place inside your body? You are sitting safely on a couch, yet your physical skin is convinced you are fighting for your life in the freezing cold. If the reaction stopped right there, music would simply feel terrifying. You would turn off the song, you would run out of the room. So, why do you actively seek out songs that trigger this physical alarm? The answer lies in what happens 1/10 of a second after the shock. Almost immediately after your amygdala triggers the false alarm, your higher brain center catches up. Your auditory cortex analyzes the sound waves. Your prefrontal cortex realizes there is no predator hiding in the dark. There is no freezing blizzard outside. It is only a guitar string vibrating at 440 hertz. Your brain realizes it was completely safe all along. This rapid transition from perceived danger to absolute safety triggers a massive chemical release. Neuroscientist Dr. Valerie Salimpour at McGill University used advanced neuroimaging technology to track human brain chemistry during music-induced chills. She scanned listeners using positron emission tomography and functional magnetic resonance imaging while playing their favorite music. What she discovered fundamentally changed our understanding of human emotion. At the exact moment the listeners experienced goosebumps, their brains flooded with dopamine. Dopamine is the powerful neurotransmitter that drives human motivation, reward, and pleasure. It is the exact same chemical released when you eat when you are starving or when you win a competitive contest. Salimpour discovered that dopamine was released in two distinct phases during the song. The first release occurred in the caudate nucleus during the anticipation phase as the song built up tension. Your brain was eagerly anticipating the climax. The second release occurred in the nucleus accumbens at the precise moment the chills peaked. Your brain was flooding itself with pleasure as a reward for surviving the cognitive surprise. You are effectively tricking your own brain. You allow a song to startle your ancient survival system, and then you reap the massive neurochemical reward when your conscious mind realizes the threat was an illusion. It is the exact same reason humans love riding roller coasters or watching horror movies. You crave the physiological high of a false alarm. Have you ever noticed which specific types of music trigger goosebumps most frequently? Is it loud, aggressive music? Sometimes, but studies show that frisson is far more frequently triggered by quiet, melancholy moments. A lone soprano voice holding a high note, a sudden, fragile acoustic solo, a cello playing a slow, weeping melody in a minor key. Why would sad, lonely sounds trigger a physiological reaction rooted in survival? Neuroscientist Dr. Jaak Panksepp devoted decades of his life to studying the brain mechanisms of animal emotions. He discovered something remarkable about the connection between chills and sadness. Panksepp noticed that the acoustic structure of chilling musical passages closely mirrors the acoustic structure of animal separation calls. When a young mammal or human infant is isolated from its mother, it emits a specific type of vocalization. It is a high-pitched, sustained sound with a sudden acoustic contour. To an ancient mammalian parent, that sound is the most important signal in the world. It signals vulnerability, coldness, and danger. When an ancient parent heard a separation call, their brain triggered an immediate surge of distress coupled with piloerection. The goosebumps force the parent to feel cold, compelling them to seek out the lost infant and pull it close for bodily warmth. When a singer holds a high, vulnerable note, your ancient brain hears an acoustic ghost. It registers the sound as a primitive cry of isolation. Your brain responds with goosebumps because it is trying to keep you warm in the face of emotional isolation. You think you are listening to modern pop or classical music. In reality, you are listening to an evolutionary language of connection that predates human speech by tens of millions of years. Are all human beings equally susceptible to this acoustic illusion? Have you ever shared a song with a friend, waiting breathlessly for the bridge to hit, only to look over and see them completely unfazed? You feel the chills coursing down your spine while they simply nod their head and ask what you want for dinner. Why do some people experience overwhelming physical chills from music while others feel almost nothing at all? For a long time, scientists assumed it was just a matter of personal taste or emotional sensitivity. However, recent neuroimaging research reveals a far more fascinating physical truth. Researcher Matthew Sachs led a landmark study examining the brain structures of people who experience musical frisson versus those who do not. He used a specialized MRI technique called diffusion tensor imaging to map the physical wiring of the human brain. The results were astonishing. Individuals who regularly experience chills from music possess a fundamentally different brain architecture. They have a significantly higher density of white matter nerve tracts connecting their auditory cortex to their insular cortex and medial prefrontal cortex. The auditory cortex processes pure sound waves. The insular cortex processes subjective emotional feelings. The prefrontal cortex assigns deep meaning to experiences. In people who get goosebumps from music, these three regions are connected by dense, high-speed biological superhighways. When sound enters their ears, the electrical signal does not just travel to the auditory processing center, it instantly cascades directly into the emotional and physical feeling centers of their brain with immense bandwidth. If you get chills from music, your brain is physically wired to feel sound as a physical sensation. You do not just hear the song, your nervous system physically inhabits it. Think about what this means for human evolution. Music serves no obvious survival purpose. It does not feed you, it does not shelter you from the rain, it does not protect you from predators. From a strict evolutionary standpoint, music should be a waste of metabolic energy, yet human beings across every single culture in recorded history have carved instruments out of animal bone, stretched skin over hollow logs, and sung around fires late into the night. Why would natural selection preserve a trait that turns sound waves into goosebumps? Because music is the ultimate social glue. When an ancient tribe gathered around a fire 40,000 years ago and chanted together, their brains synchronized, their expectation systems fired in unison, their amygdalas experienced false alarms together, their brains flooded with dopamine at the exact same moment, their hair stood on end together. Goosebumps were not just an individual reaction, they were a shared physical signal. When you look across a crowd of thousands of people at a concert and feel chills, you are experiencing the exact same collective synchronization that kept your ancestors alive in the harsh dark of the Paleolithic world. You live in a world that your ancestors could never have imagined. You sit in air-conditioned rooms, you wear synthetic fabrics, you carry hypercomputers in your pocket that can access 50 million songs at the tap of a finger. You have eliminated almost every physical threat that defined human existence for 300,000 years. You no longer have to listen for predators creeping through the tall grass. You no longer have to huddle together against the freezing night wind. Yet the ancient biological code inside your skull remains completely unchanged. Your brain is still standing guard in the ancient dark. It is still constantly predicting the next moment. It is still listening for the cry of the lost child. It is still ready to fluff up your fur at the first sign of unexpected change. Music is the secret key that unlocks this ancient hardware. It tricks your survival instincts into performing a magnificent emotional dance. It frightens you, reassures you, rewards you, and connects you all within the span of 3 minutes. Goosebumps are not a mistake. They are a living monument to your evolutionary past written directly onto your skin. So the next time you put on your favorite pair of headphones, remember that your goosebumps are not an error, but an ancient echo calling you back to the campfire.